The following podcast is recorded and produced by Emerge, a media creators co-op, in affiliation with the network at bicbp-radio.com.
I'm amazed that I have as much power as I do.
This is the Great Disruptor podcast. If you've been tuning in regularly and enjoying the show, welcome back. I've missed you. Thank you. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. If you're new here, maybe this is your first time watching, maybe you tuned in specifically for today's guest. Welcome to the house. Make yourself at home. Get comfortable. Thank you for watching. And please, number one, subscribe to the channel. Our guest today has amassed a whopping 10,000 person community on the web by sharing her fitness journey. She's the owner of the Triple B Black Belt Body, where she's an ACSM certified personal trainer and nutritionist, amongst other things. She has a lot of titles. When I asked her, what do I call you? She said, call me the MF and CEO. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Heather Webb.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. How are you?
I'm doing good. My day was a little bit hectic, but I'm able to finally sit down and relax, and you and I go way back, so...
We do. Half a lifetime, a literal half a lifetime for me. Less for you, I think. By a year or two.
You're a little bit older than me.
That's right. You can see it in the beard, I feel like. We love that. Thank you for being here. Thanks for being on the show. I don't have a show unless you show up. You know, I sit here, talk to myself or Ava or Rich and ask myself questions like, Paul, what's it like to not have a guest on today's show? So thank you. So Heather, while reading through your IG and your website, one thing became very clear to me. You are not just the person who started to look a little more fit than the average person and then made an IG and called yourself a personal trainer. A lot of those right now. You are about as accredited and decorated in your field as one can be, I think. You took the time, you spent the money, and you became an expert in your industry. So here's the part I find most attractive about that. You take a holistic approach where you incorporate not only the physical, but the mental change it takes for someone to reach their goals. I can tell you're very big and genuinely care about the people you work with. Respectfully, humbly, I've known you since, like you said, we were teenagers. I never visioned this for you. I never seen any sign of this, although admittedly, my vision at the time didn't extend past the weekend. Where did this desire to master your craft, master your body, mind, spirit, and build these beautiful relationships with your clients, where did all this come from?
Man, a lot of things. To be completely blunt, I feel like I really didn't know myself in high school at all. So right. I'm not surprised to find that most people wouldn't have thought that for me. I feel like I was much more of a follower. I think that I had a difficult home life, and I think that held me back a lot. But yeah, I just really didn't know who I was and just kind of wanted to fit in like most people in high school. And I think, once I got to college, I kind of found myself a little bit, but maybe in the wrong areas. I think like most people in college, just like going out every weekend, drinking. And I was actually going to school to be a teacher.
Wow.
So I went through 5 years of school to be a teacher, got certified in elementary and special education. Hold on, I feel like I can't breathe.
It's quite all right. Don't you go down on me.
I have anxiety, actually, so that is something I struggle with, but that's why sometimes I just need to
definitely do that.
Take a deep breath.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I've never done a podcast or anything like that, so
we love that.
It's hard for me not to just give everything and be authentic, and it was very humbling to even hear, the things you were saying about me, because it is very spot on, and the fact that without even, like I said, speaking to each other in 20 years.
Yeah.
Without aging us, you were able to be, pretty spot on, or at least how I would hope, people would see what I'm doing, because it is very hard to be genuine and authentic on a platform like Instagram, especially nowadays. So after college, I was fully prepared to be a teacher, And I was actually dating a guy at the time who was moving to New Jersey. And I don't, it's so crazy that this is even like my logic, but I was like, oh, maybe I'll just move out there. I can, he'll support me for a little while and then I'll kind of see how it goes and like look into teaching. And like, that's just so wild because it's just not who I am now. But
Yeah.
I went from being surrounded by all these friends in college and living together and going out every weekend and I guess finding my identity in that somewhat to having no one. I was completely alone. I didn't know anybody there. My boyfriend at the time was working and gone every day, and I was just absolutely miserable. Like I felt like I had nothing for myself there. And I started, the guy that I was dating at the time knew a little bit about bodybuilding. He wasn't like serious about it, but like he would follow it and kind of knew a little bit more about it than I did. And at the time, this was, I want to say like 2012, was when the bikini category came out in bodybuilding. And I had never seen anything like that. Like when I started going into this, like bodybuilding was looked at as like a freak show. So like, I mean, I don't know how you feel, but you're not in the industry. So like, what is your view of it?
What I feel like the kind you're talking about, it's more like, it's less about like how, I think there's a misconception.
You thought they were weird.
No. I didn't think they were weird.
Okay.
I think there's a misconception opposed to what the reality is. I think there's a misconception, or maybe like just of the man's version of it's just the most attractive woman in a bikini wins. Whereas I think the reality of it is it's more of like a fitness and body competition and not just which one of these women is the hottest woman.
Yes,
that's more
definitely.
of like the bar version of it,
Definitely.
Yeah, that's my perception of it. Yeah.
But I think especially in terms of females, because a lot of females started taking performance-enhancing drugs and steroids and things like that, I think that because of that, a lot of women were scared to weight train because they saw pictures of these women, and it's still a thing. People see these girls and they're like, oh, I can't lift weights. I'm going to blow up. I don't want to get big.
Yeah.
It's gotten better throughout the years. People are starting to understand it a little bit more. But like I said, when I first got into it, it wasn't looked at as, oh, that's cool. And I actually made a fake Instagram account, and it was called Miss Nutritious. And that was, I remember I started creating that and getting like a following on there. That's actually what my account still is now. I just, ended up changing the name when I opened the business.
Yeah.
Why are you laughing?
Because it's such a ride. I love it. I'm laughing because I'm happy. Like it's a heck of a ride.
This is only the beginning.
I can relate to a lot of the things you're saying. But yeah, there's a ton to unpack there. But I think the number one thing I want to do first is, like, you communicated, you have this social anxiety, extremely normal, probably more common than uncommon with people at the point we're in the world right now. But for you to come on a public platform, talk about your life, like you said, like it's not like we're talking every day here, it's kind of out of the blue. So I admire that a lot. I think you drove to Niagara Falls, are willing to, make yourself vulnerable enough to, tell your story. So I think that's incredible. So what do you find to be the most rewarding part of what you do? Is it the weight loss? Is it someone you coached winning a competition? Seeing someone's overall health and happiness improving? What is it for you that you love about this space you're in?
100%, it's the confidence. So I see these women walk through the door, and it's a bit intimidating walking in, and they're kind of like shoulders slumped and like, oh, like, what are your goals? Try to get them excited. And they're kind of like, oh, like, you could just tell they're down on themselves, you know? And over time, you see their confidence build up, and like, not just the way that they're looking or the way that they're dressing, but their whole like presence comes out. And that's exactly how it was for me. Like, once you actually commit to something and you give it 100% and you realize, oh wow, I actually can do things and I can achieve what I want. It just comes down to me actually having that mindset. And once I had that, like, it was just able to apply it to every area of my life. And it's, I see that in all my clients. I see them just really start to believe in themselves and just have that confidence, and that's priceless.
To you, it sounds like these people walk in and they're in the state that you described you used to be in. And then you kind of like that used to be me. Let me bless you with the glow up.
Absolutely.
That's the energy.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's also the community aspect. So I
Yeah.
do what's called semi-private training. So I'm not ever working with just one-on-one. I'm working with a group of individuals at
Okay.
once, but it's not a class. So I've never really seen anybody do it in the same fashion that I have done it. And that's
Yeah.
because of the attention to detail and the amount of planning that I do outside of my sessions.
Yeah.
So I'm sure nobody will see this, but I'm just going to put this out there.
Sure.
Back when I worked at a bigger chain gym and I had a large amount of clients, and people I felt like did not like it, and they wanted to kind of humble me down a little bit, and they didn't understand why. Like, what is she doing? Why does everybody want to train with her? What is she doing that's so great?
Yeah.
And I knew that it was all the work that I'm putting in outside of this. Like, I'm flattered that you think this looks easy and effortless,
Yeah.
but like my mind is literally going a million directions at once, and like observing everybody in the room, and like making sure that even though everybody is, there's multiple people there at once, everybody's still getting that individualization. They're still getting what they need out of it.
Yeah.
And a lot of it, again, is what you're putting in outside. I remember very early on at my first job as a trainer, one of the trainers, he was like, I guess you would call the top trainer. He had all the clients. I'm new. I'm working 5 jobs, like just trying to see what I can do here. And nobody wanted to stay. And I remember I sat down with him, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Like, I can't keep anybody. Like, I feel like I'm doing like everything I can. And, he really just explained to me just about what you're doing on the outside. And, he pretty much said, you have the heart for this. You know what you're doing. You just have to really, put that out there. And the reason I think that I've had success and had clients for so long is because, like you said, they actually know I genuinely care about them.
For sure.
Like, I'm not here to just like give you a workout. Like, no, I genuinely care about you. And like, I'll pray for you. Like, these are people that I genuinely look after because they've put their trust in me, and I don't take that lightly.
That's incredible. You kind of feel like I feel like you kind of are encompassed in like a coach, like a holistic like life coach type energy.
Sometimes you gotta be that, man.
Right.
You really do.
It sounds like you asked a great question by, you identified like these people aren't staying like you would in any business. Like if I'm in financial planning and they're not coming back to me, like you have to have a mentor that's willing to coach you. And it sounds like you found that, and that was whoever that person was, sounds like they gave you some advice that really, helped be a catalyst for your life.
Mm-hmm.
So that's incredible.
Absolutely.
Do you now, you mentioned that you started your education by wanting to be a teacher. I mean, it kind of is encompassed in what you're doing now. I mean, there's no, I don't think there's any irony to it that, that was a field you liked, and, maybe it was a couple of the stepping stones, and now you're in a space where, sure, you're not a teacher by definition, but I mean, you kind of are, right?
Absolutely.
On a bigger scale, even potentially, yeah.
Yeah. No, I often think about that. If I didn't go to school as a teacher, I would not be the trainer I am, because not only did it teach me how to teach people, because if all you do is tell people how to work out or get them through a workout, they're not going to learn anything. You actually have to teach people. You actually have to educate people on how to maintain a healthy lifestyle.
Yeah.
A lot of gyms are just trying to get your money and get you out. And if somebody promises you a crazy transformation in 30 days or less, like, I mean, it sounds sketchy because
the Ozempic plan.
Like, there's going to be risk. There's going to be weight regain and rebound. And then people think like, oh, I guess what I need to do is go back to eating 1,000 calories and doing 3 hours of cardio a day. When no, the problem is you keep doing that.
Yeah.
You can't stick to it, and it's messing up your metabolism.
Right.
So a lot of these women come to me with wanting to lose a lot of weight, but they're maintaining their weight on 1,100 calories a day.
Yeah.
So I have to do a whole process of building their metabolism back up, and it takes time, because if you tell a girl like who wants to lose 30 pounds, well, we need to increase your calories a little bit.
Yeah.
She might run the other way.
Right.
So they have to really invest in my process and trust that it's going to be a long-term game.
So coming, you mentioned all this history you have outside of the field. Do you now feel like you're where you belong?
As far as in the gym?
As far as just life goes.
My God.
Have you arrived? Like, is this
deep.
the space that you feel like you were meant to be in?
I feel like that's continuing to be I guess it's a never-ending process, and I'm continuing to refine where I'm going. Black Belt Body was a personal training gym for 3 years, so it was only clients. And then during COVID, I expanded into a huge warehouse gym.
Yeah.
So now there's not only clients, but we have full memberships.
Right.
So to get in that type of position 4 years into starting my business, I never thought I would get there. So I think for a while I was just like, what's the next step? Like I felt stuck, I guess. Around the same time, I ended up getting pregnant, having my son, and then shortly after there, being divorced. So it was a difficult couple of years.
It's a roller coaster, yeah, sure.
It was absolutely a roller coaster, but one thing that has held me down is my faith.
Yeah.
And without that, I don't know where I would be, and that really just continues to be, at my core, what I love.
Yeah.
And I had been thinking about it recently, and majority of my clients are females, and so I've been blessed enough to be put in this position where I have influence on women, like not in an Instagram sense where people are whatever, like no, I'm working with people one-on-one. They see me 3 or more times a week, and yes, I have an influence on them.
Yeah.
So even something as small as like, well, I'm not going to swear anymore. Like that's lame. Like that's not even creative.
Yeah. Noted.
So,
we won't swear on the show.
So now I've been really trying hard to not swear. So like, what the freak is my new thing, and
Nice.
It's way funnier.
Yeah, for sure.
So just throwing something random.
I don't think you grow at the rate you've grown if you're not making personal impact, if it's not authentic, if people don't feel like you actually care about them. I don't think you grow like the way you've grown, because the word of mouth on every person you've touched, so to speak, I think that is, probably key to what you've been able to do. But yeah, I mean, what a blessing to be in the position you're in. I mean, I know you mentioned it's been a bit of a roller coaster, but it's a heck of a ride, and it's the problems you're facing, like how do I grow my business, etc. Like those are great problems to have. It's not like where can I find a job problems. It's how do I continue to grow this business that I built myself type problems.
Right. And I think anybody that's a new mom, let alone a single new mom, let alone a single new mom entrepreneur, can tell you firsthand that it's very difficult, and there's not a lot of room for error. Like you have to be on your A game, especially for my son. If anybody's seen him, he's the cutest, sweetest thing in the whole world. I'm obsessed with him.
Right. I hope you feel that way. Right.
I want him to see a happy mom, a forgiving mom, a mom who's full of joy no matter what her circumstances are. So
I love that. Those are great buzzwords there. But yeah, I mean, I think most of the masses are kind of going through the motions, living for the weekend. To have made it out, be your own boss, be passionate, successful at what you're doing, I think that's everything you can ask for in that space. So congratulations on that. And I would remind you not to be so hard on yourself. It's a hell of an accomplishment, a hell of an achievement, where you are already, not taking into, consideration, obviously you want to grow and you're thinking of ways to grow, but you've already checked a lot of really awesome boxes that, that people haven't had the ability to do. So. And
I know you've never been inside the gym, but it's very unique. Like there's no other gym like it, truly. Like especially I gotta give credit to Mike Excel on Instagram. He did all of you do? Yep. What?
Yeah, he's in the hip hop community.
Small world.
Yeah.
Well, I love him. He's amazing, and he's super talented. He did all of the artwork in my gym.
I've seen photos of it. Yeah.
Tireless nights, like he's there. Any changes I made, he was actually just there last week.
Nice.
Because I been making some changes, and I really didn't like. I feel like God was telling me take the topless girl down.
Sure.
So I had the first thing you walk in when you the first thing when you walk into the gym was a large dragon and a topless girl riding it.
Okay.
And at the time I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
I thought that was badass, and now I'm kind of embarrassed.
Okay.
Because I just don't think it really represents who I am, and it's putting off an image that I don't want to represent. And like, I also don't want my son like walking in and being like, "What are those?" So,
right.
I actually hit up Mike like last week, and I was like, "Listen, can we get like a top on that girl?"
Yeah.
And so he put a little top on her, and she looks great.
Yeah, I mean I don't think it's anything to be like embarrassed about it per se. Like it's an evolution and it's a growth, right?
Absolutely.
I can very much relate. So I make music. I'm very much in that space where
You're just like cringe.
well, it's, exactly 100%, 100%. It's
Yeah.
like I started like releasing music. Like I always made music, but like I put out like an actual like album on distribution, like Spotify, etc. Like 2013, but that's 11 years ago at this point. So does 36-year-old father of a 9-year-old girl agree with what I was rapping about at 25? No, but it's like,
Yeah.
but I don't take it back, and it's very similar to like what you're saying about that piece of art. Like it's just like that's who I was. It's not who I am anymore. But it's good because if I don't want to keep making the same music I already made. So if
Right.
you get a new piece of music from me, it's a lot of new ideology that I didn't used to have.
Yeah.
If it was still the same, like what would you want to listen to it for?
Yeah.
Jay-Z said you want my old stuff, not the S word because you're here. You want my old stuff, buy my old album.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. Yeah, that's I can relate
Yeah.
very much, and that's
I
just
think as
growth.
an entrepreneur, you are driven to be creative, and you can't be letting your growth be stunted, or it's just going to manifest in your business. I feel
Yeah.
like, I felt like for a while, me wondering like, okay, what's that next step? What's that next step? Is because I felt like boxed in a sense. Like, okay, well, this is what I created. Like, I got to stick with it. Like, no, this is what you created. This is the platform, and like how you choose to represent it and move forward is completely up to you. So,
Yeah, the best problem you can have in business is how do I keep getting bigger? That's a great problem to have. And you just listening.
well, I got a few ideas. So.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. But it's funny and crazy how much art is encompassed with building a business. Like from your logo to like you're saying like just the decor of the walls. Like the decor here is part of the business, and like even like creating content, like the music that you brand yourself with, like all these. There's so many parts of the artistic world that walk hand in hand with business. It's really cool. All right, so you're a trainer at a local gym, which is a chain gym, and at some point while being at this gym, something clicked in you that you wanted to start your own business, you wanted to start your own brand. What happened, and just what's the story around making that transition for you?
Yeah, so when I first started training, I didn't even think that it was going to be a forever thing or my career necessarily. After living in my short stint in New Jersey, where I decided I wanted to be a trainer, I moved back to Buffalo and I started going back to school for nutrition. And I obviously loved working out. I was competing at the time, and I was like, well, why don't I get a personal training cert and start doing a little training for some extra money?
Yeah.
So I was also substitute teaching, serving at Cheesecake Factory, like working at the mall, like doing
Hustling.
all these jobs, like
Yeah.
to do whatever I could to support competing, because competing is not cheap.
Sure.
And I wanted to be a trainer. So,
Right.
I'm trying to work all these jobs. And anybody that has ever gone to nutrition school, like it's very intense. It's all chemistry.
Yeah.
It's very difficult, and it requires a lot of your time to study. And I simply didn't have it. Like I'm doing everything I can, and I'm just getting frustrated because I felt like I was just falling short in every area. The nutrition program was very competitive, and only like the top 10 or 20 even got it accepted into the program where you could get certified.
Wow.
So I knew that in order to get into that program, I had to show face. I had to be at all the events and do all these things. But like I worked every second I wasn't in school. So I just kind of had to sit back and say, you know what, like I really think that I can take competing and training somewhere, and I just want to give it a shot. Like I felt like I needed to, and I felt like a failure to my parents because one, they're like, well, what happened to teaching? All of a sudden not want to do the career I went to school for 5 years. And then I decided I'm going to go to nutrition school, and then now I'm dropping out. So, it didn't look very good, but
Sure.
I had to trust myself. Like I felt like I had potential here. And like, so at a certain point I said, you know what, I'm going to quit everything. Like I'm not going to serve tables anymore. My mother was like, you need to serve tables. You're going to have to pay your bills. Like I hated serving.
Right.
Like
right.
it drove me miserable. And the only way I got through it was like, okay, like you're doing this for your future. Like it's going to pay off. It's going to pay off. And have you ever seen the movie The Waiting? with the wait, the like, wait, or maybe I always say the waiting.
I
It's
think
just waiting.
I think I know what you're talking about. It's Ryan Reynolds, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like the angry waitress,
Yep.
like that was literally me. Like I was so angry inside, but like I was making such good money that I'm like, I have to keep doing it, you know?
Yeah.
So eventually I said, you know what? I'm not going to school anymore. Not going to work all these jobs. I'm going to commit to training 100% and I'm going to see what happens.
So you're waiting tables. You really, really dislike it.
Yeah. Okay.
You decide you're going to quit.
I gave it my all.
Yep.
And over the course of the next 3 years, I had built a whole, business for myself. But unfortunately, I'm still working for another gym. So I knew at that point I had two options, either stay there where I felt they were stunting my growth.
Right.
And I decided at that point, like, I'm going to do everything I can and just take the risk because you don't know what's going to happen when you do that. Like your clients can either say, yeah, sorry, I'm not going to go with you. Like they don't know what's in the gym. How do they know I don't have just a box and a dumbbell?
Right.
You know what I mean? They're leaving a whole gym that has all these amenities to follow me to a little shack 2 streets over.
Sure.
It was very rough around the edges.
Yeah.
I've shared this story before, but yeah, we were next to a little Chinese restaurant and the lady would get so mad because we had the music blasting.
Sure.
She'd come in screaming.
Jeez.
But it was just funny. You know what I mean? People are scared to
That's
start
your origin story.
because they don't what?
It's your origin story.
Exactly.
You got to have these stories. This is what builds you.
Exactly. There's beauty in the struggle and there's beauty with the rawness and the realness of that first vision.
Yeah.
So
it's funny. This could be like a movie, This is funny.
my life?
Yeah. This scene you're explaining.
But I to go back to my anxiety.
Yeah.
So I truly felt that the company I was working for was out to get me. They were trying to tell me to get rid of all my clients. They took away my ability to even put my clients in my schedule.
Yeah.
And in order to get paid, they have to be able to be put in my schedule.
Right.
I was so busy that I physically could not devote another 3 hours to putting everybody in the system. So I hired someone to do it.
Right.
Nope, can't do that, Heather. They just didn't want me to do anything that was in my benefit, but the problem was my benefit was also your benefit. And I believe that my growth was stunted and their growth was also stunted. If you would have just allowed me to, be what I wanted to be, we could have both benefited, but at the end of the day, that just wasn't, the plan. And I took the risk, and during this time was when my anxiety started to manifest. I remember I was in the middle of training clients, and I felt like I was having a heart attack.
Jeez.
And I went up to one of my clients, and I said, I think I need to go to the hospital.
Wow.
I feel like I can't breathe, and it kept happening to me.
Wow, that's an extreme. So, like I said, I think a lot of people have anxiety, but that's an extreme.
Yeah.
Yeah, version of it. Yeah.
I would literally amp myself up like I was going to war. I swear.
Sure.
I would be in my car.
Yeah.
I specifically remember 4 a.m. on my way to work, blasting Cardi B, sipping my energy drink, just had to amp myself up because I'm they're going to be coming for me.
Yeah.
They're going to try to do something to get me fired or whatever. That's how I felt. I was worried because I thought I was going to get fired every day. So I didn't know what was going to happen. And eventually that started to manifest in a physical form of anxiety. And I went to the ER, or not the ER, what do you call it?
Immediate care?
Yes.
Okay.
Just went to immediate
Lucky
care.
guess.
And they're like, yeah, there's nothing wrong with your heart. You're breathing just fine. And I was like, well, I feel like I can't breathe. Well, they're like, you're fine. And they gave me an inhaler. That didn't really help. And then I remember another morning I had to get up and go in at 4 a.m. And I was just stricken with anxiety to the point where I was on the floor and I could not move.
Wow.
I was just I feel like I'm going to die. I physically cannot move my body. And had to call in work and tell them I'm going to go to the hospital. I'm not going to make it in. That was kind of, I guess, the pinnacle of okay, I know I need to do something about this and get it under control. And it's gotten much better.
That's good.
Even as I was telling you this story, usually when I am talking about anxiety, my anxiety starts to manifest.
Sure.
And I feel like I kept it under control. So
Happy for you. Proud of you. It's incredible.
Thank you.
It's a heck of a story. Yeah, I think obviously going to work and having it be so intense on you that your body is in fight or flight mode to go to work.
Yes.
It's obviously not healthy for you, but it's also a good example of, you know, your body was healthy, but your mind was controlling your body and telling it like panic.
Yeah. So even just to put this out there too, you know, a lot of people, if you don't have anxiety, might not understand that it's not just a mental thing. You're not like, oh, I'm really stressed out.
Yeah.
For a lot of people, it is a physical manifestation.
Yeah.
And so it's very hard for your body to get out of that state, you know. So like I said in the past, if somebody would even say the word anxiety, I would be like, you know, because again, it's like a chemical imbalance. Like your body now sees that elevated heart rate and these symptoms as like, okay, we're about to go into anxiety mode. Yeah. So it is physical. And
what are you doing now for yourself to treat this? So say you feel something like that coming on. Is there a breathing exercise, or do you step away? Like what are you doing now to live with this?
Yeah. I think in the beginning, I used to just go in my bedroom and like lay down, close my eyes, try to take some deep breaths. I remember a therapist at one point told me to just like start thinking about something, because usually at that point you're like spiraling. So just be like, okay, I'm going to name dogs.
Sure.
I don't know why none are coming to mind right now.
Like types of dogs?
Yeah,
or
types
are you
of
going to
dogs.
give that, like, that's
like
Lassie?
Golden Retriever.
Go, okay.
Poodle. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like just start coming up with
something
like
to
something.
distract yourself.
Exactly.
Put you in a different state. Yeah.
Yes. So that's one of them. I would say, secondly, with time, I feel like it's gotten better, time and medication and finding the right medication. And then lastly, but mostly first but not last,
sure.
Would just be my faith and just praying over anxiety. The Bible talks a lot about anxiety and the control and the power you have over it.
It's super refreshing to hear how open you are about this, because obviously I deal with it. I think, you know, most everybody deals with it, you know, granted in a different capacity and for what different reasons, but to just, you know, you are in a field like where you bet on yourself, and to be dealing with that and still bet on yourself, because I'm very sure there's, you know, you're scared of, you know, what if this doesn't work out? What if, like all the things you mentioned, what if clients don't come here? What if, you know, this lady's yelling at me about the volume of all this? To be dealing with all of that on the day to day and still overcome all that and build out what you have, that it makes it all the more incredible of a story.
Thank you.
So it's,
So I used to have this like reoccurring fear that like my business was going to go under, you know?
Yeah, of course.
And I think most business owners probably do every day, you know what I mean?
Right.
Especially during COVID and everything, you know? And I got to this point where I'm just like, what am I going to do? Like, if you lose this business, what are you going to do? This was before I had Dorian. And again, this is one of those things where I look back on and I'm like, wow, it's funny. Like,
right. It was so easy.
Like,
then.
okay.
Right.
Not even just that, just like my mindset, you know, I was like, well, if all else fails, like I'm just going to move to Hawaii and like live a simple life.
Sure.
You know, that literally gave me a lot of peace. I was like, you know what? Like
it
this
sounds
isn't,
lovely.
this isn't everything, you know, and
Yeah.
I give everything to my business, and it takes so much of your time and your energy. And I felt like at that point I was like, you know, if it fails, like I'm just going to live on a beach and like take it easy. But at this point now I feel like at the end of the day, like not just for me, but for anybody, like, you know, when you put all of your identity into something and you lose it, that's why you're scared. You need to have that identity in yourself first, and know who you are so that you don't get lost in it, because that's when your business will fail, when you don't know who you are.
I would never have, without having this conversation, I never would have expected any of this from you, because the way you carry yourself and the way you come across is like, I'm checking boxes, I'm doing it, I'm doing the thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you know, you're out there on social media, and you know, your day to day is on there, and what you do is on there. And I wouldn't expect someone who's dealing with what you're dealing with to still be able to do that. Yeah. The gym you're at now, do you have like a staff, or do you have like independent contractors that work there?
Yeah, so I have independent contractors for
Right.
trainers, so they really have the freedom to do what they want.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of always what I wanted to do when I worked for another gym.
Right.
I would love to be able to have people say one day, like, oh, you want to make it as a trainer? Like, go train at Black Belt Body.
Yeah.
Like, I would love to be able to bring these young trainers up and have them truly create something and hopefully go off and do their own thing one time,
Yeah.
as opposed to, being a gym that just clenches on to these people and doesn't want them to leave and just, take. Like, no,
Yeah.
I want to give you an opportunity and help you so that, we're all going to help each other. It's a good look for everybody. Everybody wins.
Yeah. It sounds like you lived the bad part of what it could look like to be that person. And as a result, like you're like, I'm gonna do what I wish that would have been.
Yeah.
I think people see that a lot in like parenting. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to do what my parents did, so I'm going to do the
Exactly.
opposite. Is you're kind of seem like that as as their place of employment per se right now. Go ahead.
Something that I think the prompter might have cut out before, but I was going to say something about the community aspect.
Don't tell them the prompter cut
of
out.
BBB.
We run flawlessly here. Go ahead.
The community aspect. So, like I said, when I got into fitness, I felt like a loner. Like, there's no girls that wanted to do that. Like, they didn't want to look like guys, and clearly that's what happens if you lift one weight. So, yeah, I was kind of on my own, and that's why when I started Black Belt Body and like wanting to have the multiple people working together at once, it just breeds like this culture.
Yeah.
Because now not only is it like you're relying. Wait, hold on. Not only are you relying on me to show up, but now all these other people that are at the gym are like, if you're not there, they're like, "Where's Shayla?
Yeah.
Like, where's Tori? Where's Julia?"
Yeah. Where are they?
Yeah. So it's like just like that extra level of accountability, but it's also like we just have fun. You know what I mean? Like, most people don't see what it looks like outside at 4 a.m. So like
Yeah.
the fact that we're up there, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we're walking in the door, we're
I'm one of
blasting
those
music,
people.
come in for a workout,
Yeah.
blast music, drink our coffee, drink our energy drinks. Like, we're just having fun, and like there's a different energy in the air. Like, that's like the hustler's hour.
Yeah.
You're not
Wow.
waking up that early if you're not there to do something.
Yeah.
So I always find that in general, my earliest clients are some of the most dedicated.
Yeah.
And
For sure.
most consistent.
For sure. To be there at 4 a.m., you definitely are
Exactly.
taking yourself serious.
So
Yeah.
there's community in that struggle
Yeah.
and in the whole process.
Yeah.
And I love to throw like anniversary parties and like we do like Christmas parties and just like get all the girls together. So
Yeah, you built a community. It's
That's-
incredible. You're
yeah.
like you got your tribe, and it sounds like that's very good for you. Like, sounds like something you needed.
yeah.
And they need you as much as you
So-
need them. It's a very healthy dynamic there.
Yeah,
Love
and I
that.
think that really ties, like I said, back into the purpose. You know what I mean? So it's not even necessarily, the gym's next direction, but it's really just, the level of purpose that I continue to give to my clients because I know that's what's ultimately going to grow.
Yeah. Wow. You mentioned your parents like disagreeing with what you were doing. I think anybody who's ever done anything impressive with their life probably probably lived that stage. But the world, what doesn't get talked about in that pocket enough is the world has changed so much. The cost of living and the it's everything has just changed so much. But yeah, I mean, I think I obviously dealt with that. I think anybody who's ever gone that way has dealt with that. So yeah, I think that's just a crucial part of everybody's kind of come up story.
Yeah.
So you're talking about this community you have at the gym, the people that you have working out of there. Where did you find these people? Do you shop for
My clients?
Well, not your clients. The
Trainers.
yes. So
Yeah.
are you shopping for them? Are you on the web looking for them, or are they coming to you? Like how did these relationships make their way?
Well, the one of my trainers right now actually went to high school with us.
Okay.
Marty Kretz.
Okay. Oh, I love Marty.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought he didn't. I thought he lived in a different state though. Am I wrong?
No, he's
Or he
here
used
now.
to? Oh, I
He's-
did not
he's
know
here
that.
now,
I love me some Marty
so
Kretz.
You got to come to Black Belt Body. You're missing
Apparently.
out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
That's awesome.
Yeah, he's actually
He's a good kid.
him, and then I have another trainer, Demetrius. So they're my trainers right now, and they are 1099. So they're able to, like I said, kind of do their own thing. I'm open to people reaching out to me. or like I said, I will seek out if I can and find it, but it's tough because you do have to have that hustle and grind mentality.
Of course.
You can't just be expecting somebody to hand you all your clients.
Yeah.
Like, you have a golden opportunity in front of you, but you're going to have to work for it.
Yeah.
So yeah, anybody that's driven and sees the potential in themselves to take it to the next level and wants to get in contact with me, I would love to meet you. But yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
The way you're talking, the way you operate versus the way you've seen gyms operate, it seems like they are operating from a state of lack. And personally, I don't think the universe rewards a state of lack. When you're trying to scale up and you're trying to build and you're asking more, and they're just in a state of gimme, let me protect this. Like, that doesn't get rewarded.
I've never seen more of that in a previous company. I was actually told by the manager there that I made too much money and that I needed to be leveled out.
That's not a place that anybody should want to be.
I just don't understand that mindset. Like,
Yeah,
why would you not want everybody to grow? Like, I literally remember saying this at the time because it was just crazy to me.
But that's not a leader. So, I mean, you're fully within.
But what do you do when a leader gains power? Someone that's not a leader becomes powerful.
Right. It's exactly what.
That's dangerous.
Your leader wasn't a leader, it sounds like.
Boss.
He
was a boss, not a leader.
Okay, yeah, that's well said. That's really well said. And now, as you add these people in, you're already talking about how intensive this was and how scary it was. And then you add people on that now rely on your gym for their income. So that obviously only adds to the level of pressure that's on you to make sure that you can provide for these people. I need to know how you dealt with the COVID era. A time where gyms were not essential, but a McDonald's Happy Meal was. Your industry specifically gets punched in the mouth. What was your response to that?
I will not comply.
Yeah, I feel like that's how a lot of people were.
I will not comply. I think, to me, that was a test, and they wanted to see how much they could get away with. I have a child. Well, no, I didn't have a child at that time.
It's all right. You can tell them.
I have a child. I'm a mother. All right, I'll go back.
You're good. Yeah, I mean, and I was gonna say, like, don't shy away. You can shoot me straight because I also, I'm all for the freedom, but you're already well on that page, it sounds like.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
and you're also not a chain, so you didn't have like a national, like obviously like the federal government is gonna know what Gold's Gym or World's Gym are up to, but you're not, on the platform like a national chain is on.
So luckily I was able to hide under the radar a little bit.
Yeah.
But at the time we were at my studio, and it was in the plaza right on Main Street, Williamsville. So there's like Spot Coffee, there's Tops, and then we were in that Tops plaza.
Yeah.
So there was a decent amount of people coming that direction. So one of my clients ended up building like these big boards, so we just like put those in front of the windows.
Yeah. You boarded it up. It looked like a zombie apocalypse.
But people were on us. Like there was a time that somebody showed up and said, "Oh, we've been told you're doing this or doing this," and there wasn't really anything that they could do at that point.
Yeah.
I think every business owner that is still here probably had to do something to keep that happening.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but if you're going to close all small businesses and literally cut off like our ability to make money, what do you want us to do?
Yeah.
Like,
for sure.
Just be a sitting duck? Like, I'm sorry, but most entrepreneurs, again, aren't going to be that type.
Yeah.
And I did whatever I could to keep things moving.
I love that.
And I will tell you, these people needed it during COVID.
Yeah,
like,
of course.
The amount of
probably
people
more
that
than
dealing
ever,
with
right?
mental health and all the information that came out, post that gyms were one of the safest places to be.
right.
Everything that was being put out at that point was just a lie. And so, we won't get too political, but if that can be a lie, like, I mean, anything can be a lie.
Yeah, I'm on the same page with you, kid. And I think my biggest thing with dealing with it is it's okay to make mistakes, and mistakes were definitely made, but there was never any acknowledgement of, okay, we said do A when we should have said do B. Our bad. That's all I need. That's all I need. That's all I
We
need.
just want an apology. It's basic.
Yeah, just, you made the wrong call and we're aware, but you're not acknowledging that. Yeah.
Pride.
I remember being at the gym at this time, and we had to wear a COVID mask. And so I was on the treadmill with my breathing instruments covered.
Oh
my
God.
breathing instruments wrapped in a mask, and it's like, this is probably the most unhealthy thing happening.
Yeah.
Not COVID.
Yeah. I remember watching the Olympics recently, and the gymnasts, they were showing like flashbacks of the COVID Olympics, which I mean, I didn't even know that there was an Olympics during COVID.
I didn't either.
Apparently there was.
Yeah.
And like, I was just looking at the gymnasts wearing these huge masks. I'm like, how did they breathe?
Yeah, right.
Crazy.
I drove by a car on my way to work the other day, and the driver had on the COVID mask, and the passenger didn't, but had on like an Abe Lincoln hat. Not like, I just wanted to be in that car just to. What is the conversation?
Yeah, you definitely still see weird things like that.
Yeah. So you talked about a lot of stuff bubbling up in your head here. What's the next idea? What's the next thing to unfold? Is there any idea of like, I need to bring in, a coach who has a different expertise, or you want to still get a bigger location? Do you want more locations, a new location? I guess kind of what's unraveling in your head right now?
Well, I think the space is just so big, and to me, it's still unfinished. Like, there's still things that I want to just kind of like tweak out. And right now, there's kind of like a stairwell and like a pit area that nothing's been done with it. And I decided I'm gonna like revamp it, like put in like cool like neon lights there, call it the dungeon.
Love that.
And make it like a little like ab area.
Yeah.
Same thing with like the cardio deck upstairs. I want to kind of like redo that. And just like I said, once I'm not gonna move on from that space until I'm like, you know what, this thing is 100%.
Master it, yeah.
Exactly where I want it. Yeah.
Nice.
For
Nice.
sure.
It's cosmetic tweaks. Nice.
So,
I love that. There was do you know who Bedros Keuilian is?
No.
So he runs a line of gyms. Like he franchises them, so you can like reach out to him and franchise one. But he, although being a chain, he stayed open during COVID as well, and basically was very public and vocal about the fight he was putting up, and how all the rules were like the opposite of what they were saying they were doing. Yeah, he was on that same page. So yeah, it sounds like, okay, so mastering the current location you got, you're happy there, sustaining it, and building that is more or less the goal. If you do want to open another location, come to East Aurora, okay?
All right. All right.
This is where I live, and
Are there any gyms in this area?
that's exactly what I need to tell you. The market has money, and the market is wide open.
Okay. Okay.
Let me tell you about my experience in the East Aurora gyms, right? There's only one that's 24 hours. So there's a monopoly on a 24-hour gym because I work 9 to 6. It takes me 45 minutes to get there, 45 minutes to get home. I'm remote, so I'm there, half the week and home half the week. But
well, where are you working?
I work on Worley in Williamsville, I think.
So then you're right by my gym. What's
yeah,
the
right.
excuse?
So we're kind of neighbors.
Come
yeah.
on now.
But my experience with this gym, so they won because of the monopoly. Like there's only 2 to choose from, I think, and one is like a chain gym that's typical business hours, and then this one was 24 hours. So this gym I was going to, they offered me a free personal trainer consultation. Okay. All I wanted was like a personalized workout plan built. Like I didn't actually like want to work because I can see who they are. There's only 2 people that work there, 1 man, 1 woman, right? So I wanted just like a workout plan built. I hurt my shoulder when doing the bench press. It was already like lifelong sore, so I re-agitated it. Just wanted a plan built, right? Communicated that, thought that's what I was walking into. Instead,
you got a full workout.
Instead, I sat down and just pitched hiring this person, like relentlessly. It was just a giant sales pitch. Like there was no consultation or fitness to it. No workout plan. The extent of the consultation was I agreed to, okay, I'll work with you. I just want to do 4 times, each different body section. And then I wanted to transition back to being on my own, but I wanted, okay, you've seen what I can and can't do. Can you just draft me up a plan now that we've done these 4 sessions? And that was kind of my agreement to do a trade-off to get this plan. So, so he tells me, we're going to start with legs. So don't do legs on the few days leading up to our scheduled date. And he tells me, I'm going to discount this for you. It will be X amount of dollars. Great. All sounds great. Let's do it. Put them on the calendar. I show up. We don't do legs. We do something completely different.
What?
and then he, you know,
It's the same guy?
It's the same guy. I go home. I look at my, my banking statement. It's $10 to $15 more than what we discussed and agreed upon. So it is what it is. Like, I'm not mad at it or anything, but it's just like, I felt very unheard. Like, bro, like
you sat with me for an hour.
That's exactly the issue.
Yeah.
Like, you definitely are not even aware of what we talked about. You're
just a number, basically.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was getting at. Like, you just onboarded a new subscription to your plan, and like had no like. And I don't want to put like my trust in somebody like that's not even aware of what we just talked about.
Yeah.
So that was it. Like did he know what he was talking about? Sure.
Yeah.
And like, was it good workout? Sure. But it's like you're just completely unaware of everything I brought to you. So in comparison, what is working with you like?
What is like working with me is I would say as soon as you walk in the door, I'm going to make you feel comfortable. Mm-hmm. And that's just because I genuinely care. Mm-hmm. I, right from the beginning, will try to take a few minutes, just talk to them, see what their goals are. Just kind of joke around with them, get to know them. Like, oh, what do you do for a living? Like, right off the bat, just try to get to know them as a person. Mm-hmm. Because if you don't know them, how can you motivate them? Everybody needs different motivating.
I've never heard that before. That's a great point.
Yeah. So, once you kind of learn how someone operates, then you're better able to tune into them. So if you're not thinking about your client at all, well, then you'll never be able to really get them the results. So I would say I like to be very informative and try to teach people. I would love for you to train with me forever, but my goal is that you eventually, when you do go off on your own, that you've learned something and you can now apply these skills. Mm-hmm. And so I try to educate the best I can. Most people don't understand what healthy eating looks like or what it takes to get in really good shape. They think that like a salad is healthy and an apple is healthy, when in reality both of those are carbs. Sure. And most people will be shocked to hear that. But everything is either a protein, a carb, or a fat. And yes, fruits and vegetables are carbs. They're just very low in carbs, which is why they're a great option as opposed to eating a piece of bread. It's not because the bread is a better carb or a worse carb. It's just more calories. So just having people understand, I guess my approach, which is we're not going to cut anything out. We're not going to like do, keto. We're not going to do any of these fad diets. Like we're going to eat healthy foods that are, high in protein, and over time either increase or decrease calories. But overall, like you should still be eating healthy foods and have a balanced diet. If you're super restricted, you're not going to be able to stick to it long term. So
right, sustainability.
That's really my biggest thing, I think, is getting people to sustain it long term.
Right, you have to, right? Otherwise it just comes back.
I also keep it interesting. Yeah. So like every time, people come, like they're getting a different workout. They're not getting the same thing that like I've been told that a lot of other trainers do. Because that's what I've always been told to me is, oh, I love the variation. I love how you switch it up. And, there are certain exercises that should always be in the program, right? You're never going to do leg day and not hit a squat movement or not hit a deadlift movement or et cetera. But yeah, certain things we can change the means of how we're doing it, whether it's using a hamstring curl machine or using a roller or a cable or a band, just constantly switching up the means to keep people, enjoying the process. Because as much as people I just think a lot of people underestimate the part of training that is like the psychological aspect of having someone actually stick to something. Because I could give you 1,000 calories to eat and you'd probably lose weight. But again, that's not manageable long term. So when I assign somebody something, I'm not just assigning it because it'll help you, reach your goals. I'm also assigning it based on what I think, your mindset and your goals are, what you're capable of. So somebody that is a competitor and looking to get on stage versus somebody that's like, oh, I just want to lose 10 to 15 pounds and feel better. I'm not gonna tell them to eat the same type of nutrition plan. Like one's gonna be very strict, other is gonna be more of a laid back approach. So I really try to customize it to each person.
Yeah. Sounds like you're aware of the meetings you have with them.
Aware of the meetings. Yeah,
like you
I try to
remember.
take notes so that I know
Right.
like
Yeah.
how else are you going to remember?
Yeah.
So my notepad on my phone that is my go-to.
Oh, I live in notes.
So I
live
don't
in
know how
notes.
people like remember things, and my clients
Yeah.
will laugh at me all the time because they'll tell me something and be like, all right, hold on, I got to write it down.
Yeah.
Because when you're told a million things throughout the course of the day,
Right.
like, and you're not writing them down, like, I don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
How do you not?
There's so many notes that sometimes I like scroll through and it'll be like, what is this even, like, why did I write this in here? What does this even mean?
But I
You
will
know?
say one thing I've realized I do that I'm trying to like get better at is like I get too obsessive about the note thing.
Yeah.
And then it like takes away my time and like defeats the purpose.
Sure.
Like let me categorize these notes.
Yes,
and, like,
yes.
Break them up.
Folders.
Yeah.
You got folders?
Of course I got folders.
Okay, that's the key.
But,
That's the key right there. From a fellow notes user.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. I'm gonna bring it back to EA. EA gym stories. All right. This segment is not to shame anybody. Okay. You're gonna get to the point here, but this segment right here, this is the top 3 specific people who gave me the ick countdown. Okay.
Oh God.
Just listen. Number 3, older gentleman, dropped and spilled his entire water bottle all over the platform of a treadmill. Walked away, didn't clean it up, didn't tell anyone. Guess what I did?
Did you tell him?
Told on him. Told on him. The trainer.
You're that guy.
The trainer went and cleaned it up, even though the guy who spilled it was still there. I'm thinking, in what world am I letting some adult man dump his water all over this, and then I go clean it up on his behalf? So that's number 3 on the ick countdown. Okay. Number 2, middle-aged man, gray legging-esque sweats on, ass visibly and unusually sweating profusely. It's okay, people sweat, you're at the gym, good for you. But you straddling the equipment and not wiping it down. So, number 2 ick. All right, number one. This guy. Small gym, I was telling you about. Only one of just about every machine, with the exception of treadmills. This is good and fine, right? It's good and fine. I can make this work. However, this man would load his sets on like 3 machines at a time. And so he would go to his one, do his set, and then he would go to the other and do his set, all loaded with his weights. And like I said, there's only like one of every machine.
Yeah.
But then in between, and again, this is good and fine, but not the whole time. After every single set or rep, this guy is doing like the mirror selfies and like having a pose off while he's got 3 machines loaded. And I'm just, sitting there like trying to find something to kill the time. So that being said, do's and don'ts of the gym, what are they?
Well, I'm going to call you out a little bit.
Sure, that's okay.
I'm going to say judgment. I'm going to say judgment because a lot of people don't want to be judged in the gym. They're like, oh,
Right.
I'm afraid people are going to be judging me. And then, like, people like you are.
Yeah, okay.
You're
That's
judging.
Not only when it's the
You're judging the poor old man who's sweaty. No, I'm just kidding.
Not wiping down the machine
But
with ass sweat, butt sweat. We don't swear.
number 1, try to be judgment free.
Absolutely. I agree.
Number
You're right.
2, wait, am I supposed to say icks or Jim's do's
You
and
can
don'ts?
say whatever you
Jim's
want. Just do's and don'ts. Yeah.
Well, let's start with some do's. Keep
Okay.
it positive.
Yeah.
Keep it positive. I would say, like, do be encouraging. Like, you go to the gym probably at the same time. You see the same people. Like,
Yep.
if you see somebody's making some progress, like, hey, man, you look good.
Yeah.
Like,
I
you
like
don't
that.
understand, like, how much that little compliment might make somebody's day.
Yeah.
So I would say, yeah, just be positive. Bring that energy up. Like, be the energy that you want to attract. And just, I would say, just be encouraging. Like, it's a place where it's like a sacred place. People are literally there to get better. So let's, keep that energy and continue to be better. I would say rack your weights, man. I'm tired of racking weights.
Right.
Tired of racking weights.
In the right spot, too.
Yeah,
when
you
you
know
see
what?
like the 45 and the 5-pound slot,
That is definitely an annoyance, but at least if you get it to the rack, like,
Just step
I'll
in
let
the
it
right
slide
direction.
maybe once or twice,
Yeah.
So definitely rack your weights. And
do you have these hanging up somewhere in the gym? So like the gym
I
rules?
do have a full list.
Yeah.
Yes, actually.
Is it on the walls?
Sometimes I have to like include things because it's like I see people doing things and I'm just
Yeah.
like, and I can't allow that, One of them being like, I walked in at 4 a.m. and there's just like this dude walking around in bare feet. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just like, this is kind of, I don't like this.
Yeah, right.
So like, some things come up that you might not know about.
But
So
hey,
you
hold
gotta-
on. I think we need to clarify because I wasn't being judgmental. I was
Oh gosh, you're still thinking about it.
I am, because I don't want to feel like I'm shaming anybody. So
I'm
good
just
for all,
making you tolerate.
good for
take a
all
look
of
at your
them for
character.
being there. And I am the guy. I walk around and give fist bumps. You
Yeah.
know, I am that guy.
Good.
But yeah, there's, like you just said, like there's a fine line
Sure.
between judgment and somebody's just doing something they shouldn't be doing, right?
Yeah.
That's what I feel like my list falls under.
Okay.
I don't
All
shame
right.
anybody.
Fair enough.
Continue.
Fair enough. I mean, I think those are the top two right there. Work
Okay.
hard. If you're in my
Yeah,
gym, work hard. Don't just
Yeah.
come in and like sit on your phone and like, you know what I
There's
mean?
a lot
Like,
of
I don't know
those.
about you, but I get way more motivated when like there's somebody next to me that's also working out really hard.
Yeah.
It's like it builds an energy, like who wants to go into a gym where everybody's just like,
Yeah.
everybody
Wants
looks
to go
bored?
anywhere
Like,
where anybody's like that. Yeah.
yeah. So,
Yeah. When I was younger, early high school, maybe middle school, and we had the landlines.
landlines. Oh, phones. I'm like, wait, what?
People don't even know what a landline means anymore. It's like a foreign word. Els and I, remember Els?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so
Is he still alive?
I think so. I hope so. I can't confirm, but I hope so.
Okay.
So we would be on the landlines, and we would make the star 67 prank phone calls.
Yes, we were all about those.
And one time I prank called Gold's Gym, and it was the same day WWE was in town, and they were running the arena, right? So I called Gold's Gym, and I told them I was Hulk Hogan, and we were in town. I was
That's a good one.
I was fully in character too, like your brother, like So I was fully in character. I told them I'm in town for wrestling. I'm going to come to your gym, but I need you to go on the floor and count the 45-pound weights, because often I run into there's not enough weights for the 24-inch pythons, brother. So
did they respond accordingly?
they said, we can assure you we have enough weights for you. So he was very confident in his establishment.
Then what happened when you didn't show up? Heartbreak.
We'll never know. We'll never know. So speaking of high school, you were a cheerleader. I was a basketball player. You guys would do this cheer when we shot free throws.
Swoosh. Right?
Yes, en route with that, but it'd be personalized, right? So we'd be shooting free throws, and the
okay,
gym
I
would be
can't
like
remember.
quiet aside from you guys, and it'd be like, sink it, Paul, sink it. It had like a full dance and like
Yes.
full dance and hand routine that went with it, right? This worked like reverse psychology for me. So I shot free throws like Shaq. I don't know your familiarity with the game, but he's like one of the worst free throw shooters of all time. Mostly because, I have a similar problem. His hand was too big for the ball. So it was like trying to shoot a softball opposed to a basketball because of how big his hands were. But yeah, this would just add unnecessary pressure. Like everyone's counting on me. They just did a whole song and dance that basically said, if you miss, you suck. So it'd be like, sink it, Paul, sink it. And then, my ball would smack off the side of the backboard, and, it just trot back, and it felt like the cheer would transition to like, shame, shame.
Well,
'Cause
we
you
said
missed-
swoosh if
Yeah.
it went through, but what if it didn't?
If it didn't, did you make a brick
Just dead
noise?
silence?
Yeah, crickets.
Oh, man.
Yeah. All right, so on the back of those cheers and, high school basketball, they invited that basketball team. I don't know which year it was. I played, my whole time in high school. With one of our teams got inducted into the Wall of Fame last year.
Okay.
So we got like the invite to come back.
Oh, that's cool.
You
What
s-
about the cheerleaders? We
Hold
don't get
on.
an invite?
Hold on. You say it's cool. Is it cool at 36? Is it cool? Because I literally remember. So there's the gym, and then you go out the double
It's
doors.
so long ago.
Yeah, there's the gym, there's the double doors, and then there was like a case that had like quotes in it and
Yeah.
like pictures in it, and the quote was literally Coach K from Duke, and it said, "If what you did yesterday still impresses you, you haven't done anything today." And then 18 years later, they say, "Come back and celebrate this basketball team." So it was, I don't know. It was an awkward energy for me.
Yeah.
I as a pass for me, it was gonna be a no for me, dog. But yeah, so.
Wait, by the way, like,
Yeah.
this doesn't have to go on the podcast, but like,
Yeah.
what's going on with like high school reunions? Because I never got an invite. Is there ever one? Do you guys have them?
I've
Your
never
class?
been to a high school reunion.
Not that I would go, but
I
like,
don't think I would
thought
go
I'd at least get an
either.
invite.
So I think the world has changed so much that it's like,
True. What's
if I
the point?
like look at us right now. If I wanted to see you, I would see you. You know, hence here we are. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think, I don't know. Not to discredit them. I know. I think my class did have one, and I think it was. Let's see, how long have I been out? 18 years. So I think 15 years. You did a reunion. But yeah, I didn't go to that. I don't have any interest in going to that. Like, would you like drink like punch in the high school gym? Like,
I just
it's gonna be a no from me, dog.
Punch in the high school gym.
Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know. And you know, one of your former teachers like DJs and plays like the Black Eyed
Yeah,
Peas.
so
Like,
I won't,
I'm
I
all
won't,
set.
I won't state the name, but there is like an old teacher that was in, like, is always on my Instagram, and I just think it's weird.
Yeah.
Like, I get that I'm an adult now, but it's like, either way, I was a student at one point,
Yeah.
so like, I just
Yeah.
think it's weird, and I just think it's
Yeah.
a line that like shouldn't be crossed. Let's just close that book.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely see that. It's definitely a thing. Your brother was on Jeopardy, eh?
My brother was not only on Jeopardy, he was on the $100,000 pyramid. And
What?
he won.
What?
I didn't know he was on Jeopardy. That's news to me.
Okay, well,
When?
that was the ask. I thought when we were in high school or straight out, I thought he was on Jeopardy.
No.
No,
He
so
is a game show master. He has been.
So, yeah, so I
he's
didn't-
been to Price is Right, $100,000 pyramid, and I feel like there was another one. But like these game shows are real tricky. Like you can't
Yeah.
apply to too many at
Oh, okay,
once.
okay, yeah.
Or yeah, you can't get back on.
Jeez. Yeah, I thought he was on Jeopardy, and I thought it was just because he was a smart guy. I remember, like a really smart guy. But I thought he just got on Jeopardy because he was super intelligent. But turns out he's just like a game show connoisseur.
Yep.
I was on The Price is Right, but
Really?
wait, there's a sub note.
You didn't make it out of
It was
the.
no, it was the
audience?
one in Vegas. That's like a live show, not
Okay.
not the TV show. So I was in Vegas, and I went. We were taking turns, like going to get drinks. So because you could drink there. So my buddy was in the seat, and now it was my turn to go get drinks. So I went up the aisle to like get drinks, and I had two like tall Long Islands, one in each hand, and I was coming back down the aisle. And they were like, and we're still waiting for Paul Athoe. And they cut to me coming down the aisle. And I had
my
two Long Islands.
gosh.
I was like, oh, snap. So I wasn't actually on I didn't make it to like the actual like competition part. I made it to the
Contestants row?
yeah. Is that what it's called? Where
Yeah.
you like put a
Yeah,
number in and you
yeah.
can't go over. So I made it to that. They unlike the TV show, they refreshed every person on there every round. I think
that's cool.
I think on TV you stay there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I made it to that. I didn't win, and that was the extent of the story. But
Wow.
Price is Right was, a sick day from school, chilling at grandma's. 11 a.m. Bob Barker. Okay, like that's like prime.
That just reminds me of like ramen noodles.
Prime. It smells like ramen
ramen
noodles.
Like I just picture like a cold day, like ramen noodles,
Yeah.
and like Price is Right.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
The nostalgia that walks hand in hand with that. So good, so good. R.I.P. Alex Trebek too, right? And Bob Barker.
Bob Barker, what about him?
Is he no longer with us? Is he deceased?
I believe so.
Yeah. Okay.
We got Drew Carey now.
Two icons of the game show, the game show world. So this show is called The Great Disruptor. It's a celebration of individuals who disrupt the norm, who disrupt the industry they're in. But it also serves as a spotlight for areas in our life or the world that need to be disrupted. And as far as I can tell, one of the biggest things that comes to mind for me in that space is nutrition. So the food pyramid is a scam. The American diet that we accept is grotesque to the rest of the civilized world. So I feel like you have a much more educated opinion on this. So how did we get here, and what is the solution to not eating what we are programmed to think is food?
I mean, I think it, just like with anything, it all comes down to money and business and selling products.
Right.
So, I mean, you even see in the grocery store, like something, I learned this, I forget what the exact number is, but I'm pretty sure if something has at least 5 grams of protein, then they can label it like high protein
Yikes.
on the
Yeah.
wrapper. which, 5 grams of protein is nothing. Like one serving of protein should be about 30 to 35 grams, just to give you a idea. So to label something as high protein when it has 5 grams in it, basically they're just eating carbs and fats and eating a lot of it because they think, well, if it's good, then, I can eat a lot of it, and a lot of good, it's good.
Yeah.
But no.
Yeah.
Or even just like things in the media telling us like, I, like most women, thought like, okay, like if I want to be healthy, like I'll eat like fruit for lunch and then like a yogurt for a snack and then a salad for dinner.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times I've heard the yogurt salad dinner from a new client.
Yeah.
Like that's what people think is eating healthy, is a salad, yogurt, and just eating less.
Yeah.
And that's why when I first got into bodybuilding, I'm like, this was like back when like magazines were really big. Like I personally miss magazines, even though they're still around. Like I was a big magazine
We need
person.
some on the tabletops here, right?
Yes.
That should have been your gift to the studio.
Like, yeah. So they had a lot of really good fitness magazines, and this was kind of before the whole Instagram boom. So that's like where I would get a lot of like information.
Yeah. And
they would show like one of the girls and then list like her diet, and I'm like, I'm so confused. She's eating like chicken and fish 5 times a day and like rice. Like what? I'm so confused.
Yeah.
Like this can't be real. And so it just really intrigued me. But yeah, when it comes down to it, they're not really educating us on how to eat healthy, because it really shouldn't be as complicated as
it's just super commercialized,
pushing it out. Yeah.
It's there's a level of unlearning. Like the older I get, the more I learn. You need to like unlearn what is taught to be the norm. And ironically with this, it's like if you eat healthy, you're asked like, why are you doing that? But if you eat like if you eat like this weird artificial food, it's like, oh,
it's the same thing
normal.
with sobriety. I have a client
Bingo.
that's sober, and he goes to a party and everybody like treats him like, oh my God, I don't want to say this.
Like, why don't you drink? Yeah.
Exactly. Like, why don't you?
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of things that are very countercultural.
Yeah.
And
100%. So the next thing for me that falls in that category, and this might be worse, is the current medical and pharmaceutical market. So there's only 2 countries in the world that can advertise medicine. United States is one of them. And then in addition to that, not only are we only one of the 2, but it's like if you're watching like something that like a streaming service that has apps or apps, like say like Peacock, for example, like when I'm watching that, like all the ads are for prescriptions, like the whole show. It's just
which is so weird.
Marketing, take this pill. So being in the space you're in, like what's your, and being that, that you take the aforementioned, like very holistic approach, like what do you tell like people that just are neglecting the idea of, what you put in your body and your lifestyle is more of a solution than finding a prescription, which a prescription is then in turn just treated like a subscription that they just want, to be subscribed to for the rest of your life with no, incline to your lifestyle or well-being. So I guess how do you approach that? What are your thoughts on that?
In what regards? What do you mean?
I mean, do people, people come to you that, I mean, and this
like
even,
as far as changing somebody's mindset, who's used
to
that?
and not only mindset, but if they're having like physical ailments and they think they need some sort of, medication or prescription to get by, or, but really it's just like, well, if you did this, workout or did this exercise or stopped eating this, you wouldn't need to take that. Like, do you see any of that or deal with any of that? Because I know you kind of dabble in the nutrition space, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I think I, have amassed a clientele that is a little bit out of that scope, where it's more people that are maybe not quite that far off. But in my experience, I have dealt with people that do have a lot more health issues and a lot more weight to lose, for example.
Yeah.
But as a trainer, I would never override a doctor's opinion.
Sure, right.
In terms of, medicine, or really, referring to the right people is very important. So, yeah, in terms of the diet with somebody that really has a big lifestyle change to make, is I always say, like, start small. I think that's the number one mistake I see people make. Is they decide, like, they pick a date. It's probably going to be a Monday, and they're going to go all in.
January 1st.
They're going to go
right.
all in, right?
Yeah.
And they're going to work out 5 days a week. They're going to eat 1,200 calories, probably yogurts and salads, and they're going to stick with it, and they're going to get the results.
Yeah.
And I lost my train of thought.
So people are coming to you and they're sticking to this diet. But yeah, just how it ties into their overall health.
Right. Yeah. So I always suggest that people start small. So you don't need to cut everything out. You know what I mean? Because, like chances are you're eating 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 calories a day, right?
Yeah.
So we can cut back to 4,000 or 3,000.
Yeah.
We can start adding cardio twice a week for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
We can start taking your cream and sugars down from 4 and 4 to 2 and 2. You will lose a lot of weight from that.
4 and 4 is crazy.
I'll never forget the day I saw a Tim Hortons cup on the floor because they
How do you order that? Can I get a quadruple?
It said 8 and 8. It said 8 and 8.
Oh my goodness! How do you even order that?
I'll never forget that.
I don't know the word to order that aside from
just
an
order
8 and
some
8.
cake.
Yeah, right. Can you liquefy a cake? Jeez.
No, but all jokes aside, just pulling back is going to make big changes. Think about how many people just drink their calories.
Right.
Like, what if you just started with, okay, this week I'm going to cut out all drinks except for water. Maybe the next week you're going to stop having like dessert, or maybe instead of doing 2 brownies for dessert, you're going to do like a Hershey's Kiss, something that's going to satisfy your sweet tooth, but like not leave you to go over the edge. So it's really about small changes. That's why a lot of people have had success with like Weight Watchers, for instance. It's a very respected company. My grandmother's lost a ton of weight with it. A lot of people have.
Wait, grandma doesn't go to you? That's
No, my grandma did, actually. She did for a little while. But,
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Is it awkward like coaching somebody or is it okay by? I mean, probably
Honestly,
okay by you, maybe for them.
It's so weird.
Yeah.
But like even if it's someone like I knew, like if you were to come in, like it just like switch just like flips, and I'm just like in trainer mode, and like it's not awkward for me at all. Like I treat it as like this is like, serious, and yeah.
Gotcha.
Treat them like any other client.
So if someone like myself was to ask you, like where to start, or I guess the balance, like where does balance lie for you? And what I mean by that is like between weightlifting, cardio, stretching. Is there like a agreed upon set number of like 33, 33, 33, or is it like tailored based on what the person's goals are and different each person? I guess what's the approach with that, and how do you determine like what the metrics are around what they should be doing?
Definitely comes down to goals. I would say majority of people that are coming to me or coming to a trainer in general are probably looking for weight loss, or aesthetics. Of course they want the health too, but there is that like, big goal in the front of them of, coming back to the aesthetic purpose of it. What was I saying?
Just the difference between cardio, lifting, and stretching.
So most people are looking to get in better shape, right? So I always tell them cardio is not going to be the way to get you there. So cardio, unlike weight training, is going to lower your metabolism. So over time, your body gets more efficient at it, which actually is not a good thing. So like, let's say every day you're like, I'm going to wake up every day, I'm going to do 30 minutes cardio, and you burn 300 calories. Okay. If you continue to do that every day, you're going to burn less and less calories because your body's going to get better at it.
Okay.
So it's going to become harder and harder.
So we have to run farther, run longer? Like, how do you offset that?
So when it comes to aesthetic goals, you have to program, cardio accordingly, like with the nutrition. So like I'll have my clients, when they do nutrition with me, I'm also doing their cardio. So I'm adjusting cardio either up or down depending on what the goal is. But, as far as aesthetics, cardio should be used as a tool to like almost like a supplement, right? Like if you really want to change your body, you need to do weight training. That's what's going to actually shape your body and change actually the way your body fat is stored in your entire body composition. And then, cardio can help if you do have like, let's say in 8 weeks, you're like, I'm getting married. I want to do an 8-week cut. It should be 8 to 12 weeks. A diet where you're actually in a deficit shouldn't be longer than 12 weeks. At the end of that, you need to get your calories back up so that you can maintain it. But unfortunately, I don't know why that message isn't more out there, because it's almost just like, it's never heard of. Like people think that like, okay, I lost the weight and now I can just like stay here and like, it'll be fine. Like, when it's not. At the end of the diet, that's the time you're most vulnerable because you're so hungry, you lost all this weight, and you just want to eat everything.
Yeah.
So you need to be, or at least if you're my client, like we need to build you up slowly. So slowly as we cut your calories down, now we're adding them back up so that we get your metabolism back up and you can actually maintain your weight loss. So it really is kind of just that perfect blend of nutrition, weight training, and a little bit of cardio.
Yeah.
I would say.
It sounds like, to kind of put a bow on the health aspect of things and working out, I think the overall message I've picked up is it needs to be sustainable. Mm-hmm. Is that pretty much like if you could encompass it with just one statement, like something that you can, because everybody is like they get this groove, be it January 1st or whatever, where it's like, all right, I'm doing this, and then be it a week, a month later, falls off, and it's like, well, maybe you're doing too much. And yeah.
I mean, I think that really is a concept to go anywhere in business, or anywhere in life, you know what I mean? Like, start small, do something. If you were to lay the groundwork for your business twice a week, and that's the most you could do, like, okay, you did something.
Yeah.
Had
absolutely.
you, like, held back because you knew you couldn't give it 5 days a week, well, you're still going somewhere.
Yeah.
So just continuing, like, my new motto since I've been a mom is anything is better than nothing.
Yeah.
Because it is very difficult for me to get in
momentum.
all the workouts that I want.
Yeah.
He comes with me and I love it, but like he's all over me and it's tough, so I just, you got to have that mindset. Anything is better than nothing. So if that means I'm going to go for 40 minutes, then I'm going for 40 minutes, or I'm going to do a little bit of something at home, then that's what it's got to be, because you can't get so caught up in like, okay, I got to do this, and this, otherwise I won't see results. All or nothing never works, not in this, industry, and probably not with many things.
Yeah. One thing I've noticed from doing this show, because I have people on from all walks of life, but it seems like hip hop music is kind of in every pocket of the world right now. And like we talked about earlier, it's tied into, branding a lot also. I see it in, some of the videos you post and whatnot. No wrong answer here. Just what are you listening to right now? Who are some of your go-to people? And not limited to that genre either. Just what are you listening to these days?
Honestly, I've been listening to a lot of Christian music.
Okay.
Paul knows I have a little bit of history with some rap music.
Okay.
I've always been like big into R&B. Like I love SZA, I love Ella Mai.
SZA's a good one.
I love Summer Walker.
I'm new to the SZA. Not new to knowing of her. I'm new to like actively listening to her. She's got some bangers.
Oh yeah.
She's got a few bangers.
SZA's whole new album is incredible. I loved her first album too, but Summer Walker is just like, I feel like we're just like twin flames. Is that the word?
Yeah, sure.
Like we just like, she says stuff, I'm like, wow, like it's like we're living the same life.
Relatability is, I used to go to school for music, and I remember there was actually a lesson on songwriting, and he asked the class, like, what is the number one key to great songwriting? And of course, people like raised their hand and had ideas and this and that. And his answer, like, I don't know that you can actually say like the factual answer, right? It's just opinion based at the end of the day, but his answer was relatability. And like the more people can relate to what you're saying or what your song is about, it doesn't matter what genre it is at that point. It's just going to come down to, do I feel
so
this?
I have certain artists that I'm like, this is like my vibe.
In another life, if I made music, I was them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Music's like that. Certain things I'll be obsessed with for a while, and then I'm like, oh, well, that kind of reminds me of that. So
yeah, we didn't tell them, but we actually have you freestyling when the show ends in the other room. We have the set up for you. I'm just kidding. The pure fear I just saw.
Like, wait, what?
Okay, so from looking at your socials, you seem to have you've talked about it a lot too, but even then, you seem to have really doubled down on God as of late. What's the catalyst for that?
So God has always been a part of my life. I grew up Christian.
Sure.
And I say it with quotes because, like, I didn't know anything about it. I just believed in God, and that's what I was taught. And I didn't know anything about, like, actually what it meant to be a Christian. Like, what are Christian morals? What are things that Christians believe in? I really didn't know anything about that. Around the time that I was alone in New Jersey and manifesting this whole business was, I guess, another chapter of that, just kind of growing a little bit more with my faith. But it wasn't until after my divorce, I guess, that I felt like I had lost everything. You know, I had lost time with my child, I lost a best friend,
Sure.
lost my home.
Sure.
So, you know, a lot of instances, you know, highs and lows during that time, you know, that's the one thing that I've clung to. That's the one thing that doesn't lie. Like, there's no truth. There's no statement in the Bible that if you don't apply to your life, you won't become better from.
Yeah.
It's absolutely true. And, you know, even instances in my business, like, God has just done things that, like, it shouldn't have happened, you know?
Yeah.
Even to get to the point I am, the people that he put in my path and the way that things happen, it's just like, you know, when you're living in God's purpose, you just know it. And, yeah, I guess before that, like I said, I just didn't really understand, like, what it meant to truly be a Christian. And, like, when you're truly trying to live out, you know, humility, kindness, gentleness, self-control, these are all things that are within your power and to anybody's power, but it's just it's everything to me.
That's incredible. I personally don't really like get with the denominations. I think that's kind of silly. Like, you believe in or practice being a good person, or you don't. I don't think we get there, and it's like gated off. Like, okay, you're Division A to Division C. Like, you know, I think it's just you do or you don't. Yeah. Yeah, that's incredible. And I think a lot of people come into this like in bad times of their life, but I remind you, like, celebrate the good things too, right? Yeah, and I've been where you describe being, like, starting over. And what I can tell you, I was never married, but I definitely did the house change, you know, shared a child. And, like, I feel like, you know, humbly, I don't say this with disrespect to anyone, but I feel like my life has leveled up for the better every time I've done that. I feel like I came out on the other side better for it. I feel like I reflected 100%. And was like, that wasn't the right person.
Yes.
I feel like I found a better person. I feel like I found a better home. I feel like all these things happened. And I don't say that to discredit where I was. It's part of my story, but I just feel like it was a forced upgrade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like, you know, God has used all these circumstances in my life to create a testimony to show that you can go through these things and you can still have joy and you can still have happiness.
I feel like you should preach.
Still have peace. Thank you.
Do you ever go to the chapel? Where do you go to church at?
I've been to the chapel before.
I love the chapel.
Lately, I've been going to Epic.
Yeah.
I just love it there.
Yeah, the chapel
very
in Gettsville
similar style.
is my spot. Yeah.
It's very similar in terms of the style and, like, the way they're preaching, but it's smaller.
Yeah.
Something about that big, like, it's so big and, like,
it's moving.
Feels a little culty.
It's moving.
It is. I would agree. Yeah.
And it's like when they play the music, I don't know if just because, like, who I am and my love for music, but it just feels so much more intense to me.
Yeah.
And then you look around, there's like people with, like, their
so
like,
I have to share something funny about that.
Yeah.
So, like, I never was really into Christian music, you know, thought it was corny.
Sure.
And, like, I don't know, like, I've been just, like, giving it a try, and, like, this is not where the story's going, but there actually is, like, really good, like, R&B Christian, like, rap Christian, like, it's there and it's good. And so now it's kind of like, you know, I'm trying to check that out, but
I'll share some bangers with you. I got some.
Okay.
Look at us. Look at us.
But funny story.
Who'da thought,
so, like,
you know? Who'da
I was
thought?
always in church, like, seeing people with their hands up. Okay. And this was only 2 weeks ago, at service. And I was like, I want to put my hands up, but, like, I don't know. Like, like, I felt like it in me. I was like, I want to do it, but I didn't.
Yeah.
Okay. So then the next week I brought Dorian into the worship service. He was sitting on my lap and, like, I was thinking about it. And 2 seconds later, he goes like this.
Yeah.
He puts his hands up.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, this is a sign. And, like, I put my hands up with his. And, like, ever since then, I just, like, have done it.
Yeah.
But it was such a cool, like, little moment because it's not something, like, your faith is not something to be embarrassed of or to shun. Like, it's something that, like, if it's on your heart, like, I'm going to speak about it because it's important and it saved my life. So.
Yeah. And again, that music, that's a relatability thing. Like, if that's, that music's going to find you if that's what you're feeling, you know, and if you can relate to it.
Yeah.
You talk a lot about your son, boy mom now. How's that changed your life?
It's changed everything. I had a very difficult pregnancy because I was so out of my comfort zone. I'm like, how am I going to be this, like, trainer? Like, I thought I was
I didn't even think
cool.
of that. Yeah,
I thought it was so cool at this point, like, rapping and, like, running a gym. Like, Yeah. And then I got pregnant,
Yeah.
and this was right when we opened the new space.
Yeah.
So I felt very like out of my comfort zone for the first time in my life. Like I couldn't do the physical things that I wanted to do, and like, but the moment that I had him, like everything changed. Like I loved that baby boy, and he just changed my whole world. And I feel like I was definitely selfish before I had him, and it just like it just changes everything. You know, it's the most amazing experience that I'll ever have. And if I never have another child again, like I'm grateful, and he's enough because he's the most amazing little boy.
I was very much in that moment you're talking about, like when my daughter got handed to me for the first time. I want more kids still to this day, but it's like I was very much in the mindset of, because you never know what can happen, right? You never know, like, you know, obviously a million things can happen, right? So it's like I was very present, and like this could be the one and only time. So experience this as if it is. So I get that 100%.
I don't know if it's that, and because I'm a single mom, but like I really do feel like I like take in every moment. Like there's not a time I'm just not like staring at him.
It's a great way
like,
to live.
I just love him, you know?
Of course. Yeah, it's a great way to live.
No matter how much pain I'm in, like if I look at his eyes, like he just brings me that comfort, and I know everything's gonna be okay.
Yeah,
so I have him.
Love that for you. It's incredible.
Thank you.
Well, Heather, you made it out of Maryvale High School and started your own business. Not a lot of people do that. You're an impressive human.
Wow.
You're a hell of a conversation. I'm happy for you. I'm proud of you. You are the great disruptor. That's you.
Thank you.
This is Heather Webb. I'm Paul Athoe. This is the Great Disruptor Podcast. Subscribe if you haven't. Thank you for watching. Peace. And